Welcome to Unit 1, J210. You're going to discover very quickly that this class is developed into units, which are also called learning modules. And what I want to do today is introduce you to the first unit as well as introduce you to the entire class, the entire course structure. So this is a sort of a longer than usual opening lecture for this particular unit. You will see an opening lecture for every unit, and sometimes I talk about the topics, and sometimes I also include some housekeeping details for that particular unit. So today I want to talk about the material we're going to cover in Unit 1, as well as all of the concepts, sort of an overview for the entire class. So I'd like to begin with the syllabus, and you find the syllabus in the class information folder, and that's an extremely important folder. Today I'm also going to talk about the course outline, the structure of the course itself, the learning goals. Then I'll tell you what the major projects are for the course. Then I'm going to talk a lot about discussions. Discussions are a key element of this class. Then I'll tell you how to reach me for my online office hours. I'll spend some time helping you poke around in the learning modules, and then we'll finish up with the actual Unit 1 topics and the actual Unit 1 submissions. The syllabus is a very key document, and it's found in this folder, the class information folder. You'll see some other material in here that I think should interest you and you should pay some attention to, particularly the item on how to find reasonably priced cameras for this class, cameras that will last you a very long time and do a wide variety of things in your own life. There's also a summary of the blog assignments. The blog is a visual internet presence that allows you to kind of keep track of this course online in terms of the projects that you do, and I grade it at the end of the semester or near the end of the semester, and it's very important that you understand what all the elements of the blog are. And I teach you how to do the blog, so don't worry about it yet. It doesn't come up until Unit 2. I teach you how to do that, and then you'll use that blog throughout the course, and I'll grade it somewhat near the end of the class to let you know how you did on it. It's a lot of fun. It's a permanent record for you. And then I have a file down below underneath the IPFW logo that tells you what some of the typical navigation issues are in this class and using Blackboard and in using my classes. So let's go back to the syllabus. When you open the syllabus, you're going to find a lot of material about the class, a lot of the policies, that kind of thing. It's very important that you understand those. What the late penalties are. You want to do this well in this class, and nearly all of you are advanced students at this point, so you know the value of a syllabus, so please pay attention to it. One of the important things that it does is it gives you what the course outline actually looks like. So what we're going to do is in Unit 1, we're going to talk about the camera itself, and we're going to talk about photography basics. In Unit 2, we're going to talk about photography and the World Wide Web. That's where I introduced internet presence for photography and particularly blogs. They're a lot of fun. They're very visual. That's why we do them in this visual communications class. And then in Unit 3, we're going to briefly cover Photoshop. Photoshop, of course, very sophisticated software. You do not need to own a copy, okay? I'll discuss this in Unit 3. There are some free clones, some free legal clones that you can download, or you can go to Follett and pick up a copy for $20 or $30, all right, which is a really good deal. Then in Unit 4, it's my favorite unit. It's the historical and cultural traditions of photography. It takes you back all the way back to cave painters, all right? Cave paintings, it's just a great unit, and the textbook covers it very well. I think you'll enjoy it. And the concept there is that this is not a history class, but it's very important that you know where you personally can enter this millennium-old discussion about visual arts, all right? So where do you fit into this very lengthy world of knowledge, very deep world of knowledge about visual communications? That's what Unit 4 is about. Then Unit 5 gives you some very practical advice on photojournalism. It's a fun unit, and you'll actually create a major project there. And then we end up Unit 6 with field ethics. IPFW is very concerned for your sake that you leave the school as an ethical student, as an ethical citizen, as an ethical professional. And so we spend some time talking about ethics there. I've alluded briefly to some of the major projects. I want to emphasize that discussions are key to this class. They really help build a sense of community for you, not in terms of fun stuff, chit-chat kind of stuff, but rather a sense of a learner's community, and I'll talk about that some more later on in this presentation. As I said earlier, you'll be working on your blog. That counts for 20% of your grade. For the history unit, you're going to do a researched PowerPoint presentation. This is a visual communications class, so I expect you to do a good PowerPoint. If you're rusty on PowerPoint, get started now, playing around with it. The unit does have some help files about how to do PowerPoint if you need those. The big project, counting for 25% of your grade, is what I call a photo story. You're going to enjoy that. You'll actually use some, if you have a Mac, you can use your iMovie. If you have Windows, there's Photo Story that you can download for free. So, and you actually do a still photography project, but then you put it together in the form of a movie, exactly as I'm doing here, as a matter of fact. This is actually a photo story project. Then there's a final exam, and there's always quizzes at the end of the unit. Make sure you always read all the way down through your learning module, because I usually put the quiz last. Not every unit has a quiz. I'll try to remind you throughout the class when the quizzes are due, but make sure you keep your eye out for them. They and the final exam account for 15% of your grade, and I design them as learning tools. They're not memorization tools. They're open book. I cause you to make sure you kind of learn the material and help you learn it as you're doing it. And so that's the overview of the major projects. The blog comes up in Units 2 and 3. You'll actually be using the blog in Units 2 and 3. The PowerPoint comes up in Unit 4. You'll be using the blog there in Unit 4. Then at the end of Unit 4, I'll grade the blog. Of course, I'll also grade the PowerPoint. And then your photo story, you turn in a rough draft at the end of Unit 5, and then I make some comments on it, and you turn in the final copy of it along at the same time, just about at the same time as the final exam for your final grade on that. I mentioned earlier that discussions are a key element of this class. I very, very strongly believe that this is the way we have a presence with each other, that you're not working in isolation. Too often I think internet classes can make you feel isolated both from the topic as well as from the instructor, and particularly from each other, all right? And then the other important part of discussions is learning theory shows that students learn more from each other than they learn from the professor, okay? But I can sit here and yak at you nonstop for hours and hours, and you still might not learn anything. But when I actually cause you to engage the material with each other, you start to learn the concepts involved, okay? And you get to practice them. So in these discussions, sometimes the discussions are simply that. They're just narrations, all right? You just talk. Actually, you type, of course. Other times the discussions are you're posting photographs to the discussions, so you get to look at the photographs, talk about them, that kind of thing. So sometimes the discussions are multimedia oriented. It's very important that your computer be tuned well to handle the multimedia. You always need to be able to see the attachment buttons, if there is one in a particular dialog box. You need to be able to see this create message button. And sometimes if you can't, it's because your pop-up blockers may still be on, or there's an issue with your Java. If you think that's the case, please call 481-6030. That's also covered in the syllabus. But basically, to get an A on any single discussion, you must enter that discussion 4 times. You must respond to the prompt. I always give you a topic for the discussion. You respond to it, and then you respond to 3 peers and or me. Okay, I very often also get into the discussions with a podcast, an MP3 file, and kind of make some overview comments about how I see the discussion moving along and some of the things I want to say, and you can also respond to that. But bottom line is you always need 4 posts to get an A for any particular discussion. And this all unfolds in the learning modules. I do hold office hours. They're by appointment. You need to reach me through Blackboard, and email me through Blackboard. Just click on the contact list there and find my name and send me an email saying, hey, I'd like to meet with you sometime, Mr. Weller. Here are the hours that I can meet. In order to meet with me, we could use the chat feature of Blackboard, where we just chat with each other, typing. Or if you have Skype, which is very easy to download, all right, we can actually talk face-to-face over the computer. So these are virtual office hours. They're online, and they're by appointment. I do like to do this. It's a lot of fun. So if you have any questions or concerns, you just want to visit me, go ahead and use the Blackboard mail to get a hold of me, and we'll set up a time and we'll, quote, meet online. It's kind of fun. Okay, now that we've talked about some of the basic elements of the class, it's time to get down and dirty on the learning modules. And the course is developed by units. I already pointed that out. And each unit equates with a learning module. And inside that learning module is everything you need to know for that particular unit. Every single assignment, everything you need to turn in, everything you need to read, every video you need to watch is inside that particular learning module. That equates with the unit. These learning modules cover several weeks generally. You have to look at the, you have to go into the learning units folder and take a look at the dates in there. The dates, of course, vary by semester. And, of course, the weeks, sometimes the lengths of the unit sometimes varies by semester. So make sure you understand which week you're actually in. Make sure you always understand which unit you're actually in. And then click on the learning module. And on the left is an index. Just follow down to that index. Make sure you're familiar with it. Start early in the week reading what's appropriate. Make sure you know when the assignments are due. Everything is listed in that index inside that unit learning module. I call it an index. It's also called a table of contents. Okay, Unit 1's a lot of fun. Make sure you have a camera by now, please. Your textbook is available at Follett Used. Pretty soon there won't be any more copies used because the textbook's going online. You can go to Follett and you can buy a new copy of the online version. They'll sell you a card, and then you take that card home, open up the website that's provided on that card, plug in the code that's provided on that card, and that'll last a limited period of time, the length of the semester. So that's kind of your copy of the textbook. It's all online. Don't print it out. Don't do that. Okay? Please do not print out the textbook. I'll also be able to email you or post on the webpage how you can just simply not even go to Follett and get the textbook online, directly online. So for Unit 1, we'll be talking about the camera. Now, obviously, we can't talk specifically about your camera, but we're going to talk about some of the concepts of cameras, including what lenses actually do, how they work. We're going to introduce you to some terms such as aperture, shutter speed, depth of field. We're going to talk about lighting, what's the best lighting under which to take pictures and why, and then we're going to talk a lot about composition. And during this unit, you will be turning in some photographs. Now, as I said earlier, there's always an index or a table of contents on the left-hand side of the learning module when you open it. If you can't see the entire index, go to the middle, go to the line that separates the index from the actual documents on the right. You'll see a red double arrow here, and drag that line over to the right, and it lets you see the entire index. Now, that index is grouped. It's not necessarily the order in which I want you to do everything, so some things near the end you have to do near the middle of the unit, okay? So you need to familiarize yourself with the entire index, with the entire table of contents there, and then start methodically going through it to read the material. Please don't skip things. Everything I've put there for a reason. I enjoy teaching this course, and I want you to learn these things. You know, you're taking this course, you're paying for it, all right? And you're taking it for a variety of reasons, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So please pay attention to the learning module. Please pay attention to the items that I put there. For Unit 1, your submissions are going to be through the discussions, all right? There aren't any other submissions other than discussion posts. This week, at the end of week 1, I want you to be doing the icebreaker. You're going to need to enter that 4 times, and I'm asking you just to post some pictures of your family, you know, that kind of thing, just so we get acquainted with each other. If you don't have a scanner, don't have any pictures online, any place, you can go to any one of the computer labs on campus, and there's scanners in all the labs, and usually there's somebody there that will show you how to do one. Particularly the lab upstairs in Walb. That's a well-staffed lab. It's very large. It has both Macintosh and PCs in there. There's always somebody to help you. And then at the back of that lab, there's Studio M, where people can also help you. They're kind of on call to actually help students. So your photo assignments, in addition to just posting some general family photos, you'll also have a blog assignment where I want you to post some pictures that illustrate depth of field. I tell you how to do this. Okay, it's all in the learning module. Then we talk about lighting, and I want you to post some discussions about some pictures about lighting, and then I also want you to post some pictures about composition. And then at the end of the unit, there's a quiz. All right, make sure you take the quiz. Last but not least, I'd like to give you a couple of tips for success. I do this for all my classes. Internet classes are not easy, particularly here in J210. Most of you have taken an internet class before. And you know that they're actually harder because there's just more reading to do. There's more documentation. Not only that, there's often more projects just because the professors want to work you a little harder since they don't have you face-to-face. They want to kind of compensate for that. And then, of course, you have the added burden of you have to be sort of self-directed. It's not like you have this automatic schedule where you have to show up in class 3 times a week and the professor kind of whacks you over the head with a wet noodle if you're not, coming in or if you're not turning things in on time. I can't do that for you, okay? So the idea is to log in early in the week into Blackboard and make sure you understand what you need to be doing that week, okay? Then log in often. Don't think you're going to do all the material on a Sunday night. You're not. You're not going to get it done. Please check your Blackboard mail frequently. I often contact you throughout the unit to kind of remind you of things, that kind of thing. I try to pay very close attention overall to the class so that I keep giving you ideas on how to, proceed. My goal is for all of you to get an A. That's my goal, okay? But you can't do that if you don't do the work. There's always a video, a lecture much like this one on the home page at the beginning of every unit. Please make sure you watch that. Make sure you're looking at the learning modules several times a week. I've already mentioned that. Make sure you understand when the discussions and projects are due. And then above all, thoroughly engage the discussions. As I've already said, I'm a big, strong believer in creating a community of learners. IPFW believes in that. And the community is not for chit-chat or socializing. The community is so that you exchange knowledge with each other, and then that builds knowledge. And if you feel you're part of this conversation of visual communications, if you feel you're part of this conversation about photography, you're going to get more out of the class. So, hey, enjoy. If you have any questions, of course, please use the Blackboard mail feature, and I'm always happy to meet with you online to talk with you personally.